Peak Parent Center presents Ask a Parent Advisor video. Peak Parent Advisor Shirley Swope fields questions about charter schools, challenging behavior, and early childhood. June 2014.
Hi, I'm Shirley Swope, one of the parent advisors here at Peak Parent Center. And we at Peak Parent Center believe that all children, including children with disabilities, should have the opportunity to learn and participate in their communities and in their general schools and go to school with other kids within their community. Every day here at Peak, we help parents and teachers learn different strategies and skills with educating students with all kinds of disabilities within their communities and within their schools. And we do this because we really believe that all children deserve a chance to become members of their community and contribute their gifts and their skills just like anyone else. And if we don't believe it, who will? And today I'm going to field a couple of questions from families across Colorado, and we'll go from there. Our first question comes from a dad in Colorado Springs whose child's school said that he should call Peak with his questions about charter schools and students with disabilities. The question is, we are considering a charter school for our daughter who has an IEP. The principal stated that he didn't know if the school could meet the IEP services and that we should consider other schools. Can charter schools deny a student based on disability? And first and foremost, charter schools are public schools. They cannot deny a student application to that charter school or attendance to that charter school solely based on that child's disability. That's discrimination. And sometimes charter schools get the feeling of, we would really like to be a private school and select the students that attend here. However, they can't do that. And they are public schools, and they have to have special education services available. Those special education services are going to vary from school to school, but that's part of the law, that they cannot simply say we don't have special education at this school. So you can sit down and have the discussion. And if the school is saying, I don't know if we can, provide the service here, you really need to ask the questions. We need to discuss this first before you say no, or before you say consider other schools, because the IEP services may vary with the setting and with the physical environment of the charter school. You might be going to a smaller classroom, and the child needs a smaller classroom. It's written on the IEP. Well, if it's already a smaller classroom in general, then that's a service that's already provided. So you really need to sit down and have that discussion on whether or not the IEP services are written appropriately on the IEP for that child in this physical setting. But don't just, if the principal says, oh, well, you need to consider someplace else, you certainly can consider someplace else. But I would have that discussion with the school and with the principal about the services that this child actually needs to be successful in that setting. It's a public school. Okay, and our second question comes from a mom who lives in Sterling, Colorado. And please remember that Peak serves family across the state. I'm a single mom with an 8-year-old son who keeps getting sent home from school because of his meltdowns. He has an IEP for speech. I have to work. Can the school keep sending him home? I've asked for help from school, but nothing's happened. I've asked for an IEP meeting, but they keep trying to do different things. It doesn't seem to be working, and my boss is getting mad. Sometimes this happens, that school and life collide, and your job as a parent collides with your job as a worker with schools, and it's a real dilemma for a lot of families. when you ask for help from the school, always ask in writing. Even though he has a speech IEP, all his educational needs need to be met. And so when you have an IEP, it does not just address the needs that are listed in the label that qualifies your student for an IEP. So if you're having some behavioral kind of concerns, then those need to be addressed in the IEP too, even though the IEP qualifier was speech therapy or speech. So ask in writing. When you ask orally, it's a nice request. However, when you ask in writing, then you have to get a response in writing, and it's taken much more seriously. So ask in writing. Are they trying response to intervention? When schools are trying other things, generally is the response to intervention, and they can do response to intervention for behaviors and for reading delays and things like that. But if you feel that you need a more in-depth evaluation, even though they're doing response to intervention, you can have that, but you need to ask in writing. The Federal Department of Ed has told schools and told parents and told us that response to intervention cannot delay or deny a parent's request for an evaluation when it's warranted. So if behaviors are causing him to interfere with his learning at school, and they're also causing interference with your job, ask for an evaluation around the behaviors, even though he has a speech IEP. Then you want to look at, when you do this evaluation, what are the ABCs of behavior and what's this behavior language telling us? The ABCs are the antecedent, what comes before, what sets him up to set him off, then the behavior, then the consequence to that behavior. Is he escaping a difficult situation that makes him really uncomfortable? Even if it's getting sent home, home is a safe place for him. And if he feels like the behavior, he needs to have that behavior because you'll come and get him, then that's something that needs to be explored. And just know that you can, the IEPs to meet the needs of the student, no matter what those needs are. So you really need to discuss that, not just the label on the IEP that qualified him for the IEP. And our third question for today is, I have a daughter, Lily, who was born with Down syndrome. And she'll be 3 years old in July, so we're looking for preschools for her this fall. We want her to be with the other kids who will get to know her and play with her and like her for the person she is. But I know she needs speech and occupational therapy and potty training. What kind of preschool should she attend? There's one with lots of therapies in our district. Our district wants us to attend, but it's not close to her home. And can a preschool refuse her because she's not potty trained? Well, first, the IEP needs, because she's 3, she will have an individualized education plan and not a individualized family service plan, because you're doing that transition from 0 to 3 years old to 3 years old to 21 years old, and so you're going to go on a different plan. It really addresses her as an individual. And but all the laws that apply to kids who are in elementary school apply to her too. Well, well, most of the laws, I guess you could say. But the part that does apply is that least restrictive environment. And least restrictive environment means that you're educated in the place you start is the classroom you would attend if you did not have a disability, adding supplementary aids and services to that setting. So it's a little harder for kids in preschool because school districts aren't required by law to provide preschool for typical developing children, but they are for children who have IEPs. And so they have to consider other placement settings like preschools in the neighborhood, like Head Start centers and things like that, so that she does have access to typically developing children who are her same age. So you don't have to just say, districts really shouldn't be saying this is the only place that she can go, but you can ask for all the options that are available within your community, and that's something that you decide as an IEP team. So placement comes at the very end of the IEP meeting, not the beginning. So when you have a district or the district saying, well, this is the only place you can go, that's a problem, because that placement decision comes at the end of the meeting, not the beginning of the meeting. So you can look at the other preschool settings. Plus, look at the nature of preschool. Preschool, just by its nature and the way they teach preschool, they focus on language. They focus on motor development. They focus on fine motor development, because all the kids are kind of learning the same thing. So a lot of those therapies are just naturally incorporated into the nature of preschool and into the preschool day. So have that discussion with preschool teachers, and you might find a local preschool that you really like, and you may have to compromise on the amount of like speech therapy services and those kind of services that would be delivered to her at that setting, but it would be to her benefit to be in that least restrictive environment. And toilet training, no. A lot of preschools say, you know, you can attend when you're toilet trained. She has a disability. She's going to take a while to be potty trained, and they can't deny her access because of that. But that should be accommodated. So preschool can be a wonderful experience, and you just need to find the best one for her. Missy Cedars and I are parent advisors here at Peak Parent Center. We also have another parent advisor who serves families who speak Spanish, and her name is Danielle Short. Please call us with your questions and your concerns. We're happy to work with you and chat with you. We're free service for families. We're confidential. And it's an honor for us to work with you through your educational journey.
Contact a Peak Parent Advisor with your questions today by email at parentadvisor@peakparent.org, by phone at 719-531-9400 or 800-284-0251, or visit our website at www.peakparent.org. Connect with Peak Parent Center. We can be found on Facebook by searching for Peak Parent Center, and our Twitter handle is @PeakParent. Peak Parent Center is not a legal services agency and cannot provide legal advice or legal representation. Any information contained in this video is not intended as legal advice and should not be used as a substitution for legal advice. Peak Parent Center, helping families and educators see new possibilities for children with disabilities since 1986.